Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages. My name is Mr. Evil Dragon, and I am back from a few weeks ago. I had some Christmassy things going on, and this thing called New Year's. It's now 2022. The world is ending. Joining me as per usual, Ethan is here. He's not dead yet. Hello, Ethan, and welcome to the end of the world.
Yeah, thank you. Hope everybody's had a nice, lovely Christmas and New Year. Finally done with 2021. Not done with COVID, unfortunately. That's still hanging about, but we're into 2022, a year that's sure to be memorable for many, many things. But today we're here at the Nurburgring GP, a particular favourite of ours, I think, Evil. Here for some GT3 action. Back at TTML, and some familiar faces and some new ones, but the same old good action that we all love.
Indeed, we'll take you through the driving standard, the driver standings in a moment. I haven't commentated for a few weeks. I've already got rust growing on me, but you know what? We're right on board with. Let's go right on board with Ayrton right now. He's just coming down the hill into the bottom section. Now, this hairpin even, very easy, as I see that, someone's gone spinning off at the corner before. This hairpin, very easy to become a victim of going a little bit wide on the exit here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a tricky hairpin. As you can see, it's got some camber to it. It's banked. It's a downhill braking zone. And unlike most corners, this corner allows for the drivers to experiment with the line, and I particularly like braking as soon as you see like the grey curbing on the left, and then aiming as tight as I can to the right, going in deep, using the camber to carry as much speed as I can, get the car turned in, and then straighten off the exit of the corner so I can get back on the power as soon as I can. Some drivers will do it differently. Some of them will gradually go into the corner. So it opens a wide range of different driving techniques into that corner. Some will probably get a little bit too ambitious on the brakes and completely overshoot the corner. If you do that, you know, there's a gravel trap waiting for you. And if you get on the power a bit too early, the car will easily rotate around. But you probably won't see some people experiment today. It is a good corner. I mean, just in general, the Nurburgring is a very good circuit. A lot of cambered corners, a lot of fast corners, a lot of overtaking opportunities. Yeah, it's a shame you don't see it very often in most racing series, but you know, you get to see it all the time on Gran Turismo because it's always on the game.
Yeah, indeed. Talking of the circuit, the GP layout, of course, not its original layout, which was back in the olden days. This exact layout, 1984, if I'm not mistaken, it first opened its doors, of course, after the Nurburgring had a bit of an incident in the 70s and everything kind of got redeveloped. And this thing, this beautiful circuit, came out of it. Now, in terms of the standings, I have them here as we get a few laps set down. And it is Babber O'Reilly who leads the championship, 71 points after, of course, the Austrian Grand Prix from Noisy. Kermit in third. And then Team Actimel ahead of Honey Badger, Tatamo, Buenzi, Mascherero, and then Mr. Captain Slow, who doesn't exist anymore because he's changed into Mr. Slow. Yeah, he's renaming more than I suppose a Formula One team sometimes.
Yeah, a bit of a downgrade, if you we must say. I much prefer his Captain Slow, but he ain't going slow. He's actually going purple in his current lap at the moment. So I mean, despite the name, yeah, he's certainly not slow, but he's got, I got to say, the greatest driver of all time. Ayrton Senna, I don't know how you pronounce it sometimes, but he cost Ayrton, the British driver, in the Corvette, I might say pretty decent car to be fair, on the pole position, 54.2, which is actually pretty good going at this circuit. But just like at Lago Maggiore and Monza when Lewis raced, he's not going to walk it. There's plenty of competition there waiting to give him a good run for his money, and I think there might just be more than one car waiting to give his run for money as well. But we'll let you get back to the standings.
Yeah, Viking Stallion Racing, of course, that is the team of Luke and Mr. Lewis, of course, Luke being Baba O'Reilly and Lewis being Captain Slow or Mr. Slow or Slow, who's going fast. Ferruccio Motorsport are in second. They are 20 points, give or take, behind. 18, I think, actually, to be more correct, as Lewis crosses the line, improves by attempt to go 3 attempts behind. Red Bull AF Corsa are in third, ahead of Dutch GT Racing. A-Team Racing are in fifth, ahead of Toyota Gazoo Racing. We're down in sixth, and of course, the Boss GP. So far, no points. However, both of them, first and third right now here in qualifying, so getting it off. Of course, qualifying is one thing, the races are different, but they have already got themselves in a position to potentially do quite well. As Rachel goes up to, what's that?
Somewhere further down the order, about 10th, I think.
Yes.
One thing I've noticed is both the Boss Corvettes are on the soft compound, Lewis on the Supers. Maybe they're just warming up, but maybe they might just be extremely comfortable on the softs. The Corvette requires a very particular way of driving it, despite being, I think, supercharged. I'm going to have to double check the aspiration of this car in the settings, because I'm not 100% confident in my ability to know. Do I even have a Corvette? Oh,
well, imagine you do.
I do. It's naturally aspirated. I thought it was supercharged, but no, it's naturally aspirated. But you have to short shift it. Like, you have to like shift around halfway on the bar. So you got like, you see on the stream, you got like the dash, you got the speed, and then the gear, and then you got the rev counter that lights up in red or blue across the top of it. And usually the drivers want to be shifting halfway along that in the Corvette to get any sort of amount of power out of it, which is quite strange, but that's the way that car is driven. Very fast, quite fuel hungry, but no fuel to worry here. Fuel's turned off, so it's got all the grunt. It's pretty decent in the corners as well. The Porsche, though, you know, that's the all-round best. It's not quite as good as the Supra, and there's a few of those around, but they seem to be lurking around the back somewhere. Oh, I've just seen Honey Badger have a huge off at the corner just before the back straight. I'm gonna have to get a track map up to find out what corner that is, but he's just had a huge off there.
That is it's German. I know that
beautiful,
much.
Beautiful livery, I must say, though. Very beautiful livery. I do actually I really like that. Well done, whoever made that. If that's Honey Badger, if you made that livery, full props for me. I really like that livery. Yeah, I'm just gonna get the track map up so we actually know which corners we're talking about.
Yes, my favourite thing of trying to pronounce this track's corner names, because I, for the life of me, can't pronounce German words. I know the chicane's the NGK chicane, or it used to be that. It might have changed by the point of this. You never know.
Okay, these are actually pretty easy to pronounce. So yeah, Honey Badger went at Bit Curve. So there you go, that's nice and easy to remember. Salamo and Ayrton's sitting in the pits, 8 minutes to go. What's going on the circuit? We've got a few people in the pits changing compounds. Bas, who is Ayrton's teammate by the looks of it in the other Corvette, is out there on the softs as well, going a bit wide. We have to watch for track limits as well. Track limits here can be a bit lenient in some areas, so got to look out for the drivers going a bit too far, but you know, everybody's going to sneak away eventually in one way or another.
Indeed. Well, we'll get ready to see. Let's go and find someone who's just starting a hot lap. We'll run on board with... Let's go and run on board with the championship leader then, Baba O'Reilly, who's just currently coming through the back end of the circuit. And we'll take you through what is going to be a lovely hot lap around the Nurburgring GP. So you come down the straight, of course, long as you like, fourth, up into fifth as he goes up into a 1:56.1 as he starts his second flying lap into the, well, into what is the Castrol S section, as it has always kind of, to me, been known. Whether that's different or not, different to that. Of course, the Mercedes Arena. This is the area here, known because, well, the giant Mercedes Arena, which is on the exit of the corner. There it is, right up there. And you can see it's about a second gear corner. You're getting up behind Team Aximo right there in the BMW. They'll jump out of the way as you come into Valvoline Curve. Now, I think that's how you pronounce it. Could be completely different as you now head themselves down into the Ford Curve. A little bit wide there. You can see the front end not quite stepping in there for the Porsche driver. And then you come down into Dunlop Curve. Now, from what I remember, this is because it used to be sponsored by Dunlop everywhere. There was a Dunlop. In fact, there is the Dunlop sign right there on the inside of the corner. So there we are. Still is. And of course, then you come up to, well, what was the Audi S, if I remember. It's now the Michael Schumacher S, indicated by the big sign, of course. There, and then you come to the Michelin curve, and then, of course, the Bit curve at the top of the circuit. And what we can say, Ethan, is this track has gone through many different corner names, because I'll immediately open a different track map up, and all the corners are completely different.
Yeah, it goes for a lot of different name changes, but one thing that hasn't changed is mainly the layout. I mean, obviously, turns 1 to 4, that's changed over the past. The chicane used to be a little bit more open. I mean, the original chicane's still there. That's used in real life GT racing and obviously in the Nurburgring 24 hours. Obviously, the chicane we're using now is on the Grand Prix layout. Shame we don't have the GT layout, but maybe in Gran Turismo 7. Who knows? As Baba's come in, so he's obviously backed out of that lap. He was a bit central on the circuit, not using all of the tracks to him as Lewis goes in within just nearly half a tenth of the pole sitter, Ayrton in the Corvette, who is just sat in the pits, not bothered. He'll probably be bothered if Lewis suddenly goes purple, then you'll probably see him out as Baba's coming back out again. You've obviously got the other Corvette in third, Honey Badger in fourth, who's coming towards the chicane, known as the Vidal chicane. That's nice and easy to pronounce. So this is another one of those corners that you gotta watch track limits on, and it's also, I gotta say, pretty difficult to negotiate, at least on this game. On some other games it's not so bad. On this one, it can be a right pain in some cars. I remember doing this a couple of days ago and just doing some hot laps. I like doing some hot laps occasionally and just going in a car. I think it was probably the Aston Martin DBR9, and just it rattles over the curves. Sometimes you even take it too fast, it'll just put you in a tank slapper and then it'll spit you out into the grass. So not only have they got to be careful with track limits, they've also got to be careful of not binning the car, because it's so easy to do there. And they've also got to worry about not getting launched up the inside as well, because that is a prime overtaking opportunity if you're right on the brakes.
Indeed, the question is, of course, can you get right on the brakes at the right time? Well, I can tell you right now is both of the Porsches together on circuit right now, a potential of a cheeky toe, but they're a bit of a closer than that. Maybe they just want to be near each other. You never know with what's going on right there. But Lewis using all the road and a little bit more there on the inside of the fast left right, and he's been a bit naughty and the game has punished him by virtue of penalty. When he watch out for Rogergard, who is lurking right behind, and probably be letting him through. Up the inside he goes, and straight past goes the Danish driver. I want to say Danish, Ethan. Is that Danish? I think it is.
Yeah, that's Danish.
Good. I know my flags today. Meanwhile, Dotamo, he is currently coming through the hairpin in the Coca-Cola branded Mercedes-Benz. Not full throttle right now, but I've got a bit of a shout out to it. It's a very, reminds me of an old retro livery, but it kind of doesn't as well. It's very, it looks beautiful. I'll say it that much.
Yeah, I've got to say it is a pretty nice livery. There's a lot of nice liveries on this grid. We've got this, the Supras in some sort of Castrol Red Bull livery, and then obviously you've got the Boss Corvettes, and Ayrton's coming out on the Supers. So now we'll find out just how big the gap is really going to be. Obviously Lewis, quite an experienced veteran on the game. No idea how experienced Ayrton is, but he's clearly experienced enough, because he went purple on the softs and he's come out on the supers, and he's going to have one lap, so this is going to have to be a lap from the gods. But when you've got a name like that, he must be pretty experienced. Yep. As Lewis is currently purple just after going through sector 1. He's got traffic of Kermit. Hopefully Kermit's going to pop out of the way and not impede Lewis too hard. No, there we go into the Dunlop curve, and it doesn't look like Kermit's getting out of the way. This will be getting on Lewis's nerves a little bit here, because he's going to have to deal. Because look, he's 3 times sub. This might be the lap that. I mean, Lewis is going to get another lap, but he might need this lap to beat Ayrton. And I mean, Kermit not really getting out of the way there, is he? He's more racing Lewis rather than just letting the faster driver go. But he himself might be on the lap. Yeah, it's hard to judge. But how much has that impeded? Well, I mean, he's actually gone faster. So, I mean, it doesn't seem to have affected Lewis too much.
I imagine it kind of may have started him a little bit up, of course, the Schumacher S. A bit of a brake there from Kermit. I mean, you can do it flat. You don't need to brake. Lewis a little bit too much over the curbs there, though, I think. So, that one might have to be a little bit cheeky. But I think he might have got away. That is Ivan, the engine, is having some issues getting in. Lewis through the last corner. Nice smooth. Should go 4 tenths up, if I'm not mistaken. 3 tenths up.
Is it enough, though? Because I personally don't think it is. And Ayrton's coming through that final chicane now. He's going to have 1 lap to beat Lewis's time. And a 53.9 is pretty good around the Nurburgring, but it's in a Porsche. I don't know who this Ivan is, but he keeps joining. If he keeps doing that, it might lag out the server a bit. The poor old GT Sports servers, they're quite old now. But here comes Ayrton down into the braking zone, braking earlier than Lewis because obviously the Corvette's going to be much faster in a straight line. Just how much faster can he go? This is going to have to be an epic lap, and I think we should ride on board with him because this is going to be crucial here. Lewis might be still on another lap as well.
Indeed. Well, I mean, what? A bit wide there for Ayrton, but you can get away with it through turn number 5. Now into 6-7. Up by 2 tenths. Not purple, however. That's crucial then for Lewis's case. Not purple in sector 1. You come down here. Now, this is the crucial section here. Is how much speed and how much momentum can you carry up the Schumacher S? Now, remember, Lewis potentially lost a little bit of time comparative because he got stuck by another car. But remember, he also had a slipstream. Now, that could be the deciding factor here, of course. He is not going any quicker here, so it's all going to be about who can do this back end of the circuit good. Lewis looks the potential for pole position there, unless Barker or Honey Badger, we never know. Ayrton can still improve. A little bit squiggly. Rear end doesn't like it. Rear end's not liking it at all. And I think, yeah, as you say, that could be that. All 4 wheels off the circuit. And a penalty as well. Yeah, and that is the end of that one for him. Barker doesn't improve. What about Honey Badger? How's he? 2 tenths down. Not
the lap of the gods there, was it?
It most certainly was not. Noisy crosses the line. What can he do? He's currently 5th. Stays 5th. Luke is in 6th. Jendrik is in 7th. Tamio 8th. Actimel ahead of Rachel. Rosegard and Kermit bringing up the back 4.7 seconds off the pace, but keep going as is. As Ayrton will bring it through then to the last corner to finish his lap. As you can see, Honey Badger putting the wrong way for the last corner as he gets across the line backwards. Very, bit of a mistake, I imagine. Probably got on the curb, I imagine, and he's spun it. Well, he's doing some donuts. Gets the throttle on, and the Audi, lights ablaze, crosses the line just about. There we are. And that should be qualifying over.
Qualifying is over. I'm just waiting for a few more drivers, I think, to potentially cross the line. Now, if someone's sat in the pits, so obviously we're going to have to wait for the timer to go all the way down now. But yeah, Ayrton, maybe he was pushing a bit too hard. Maybe the tyres were just giving way a bit too early. I mean, just down that hill, it just didn't look like it wanted to slow down, and then it got all out of shape after the Michael Schumacher S. The car it had a little bit of a moment going into the corner, and obviously that put him offline, and obviously he tried to save it by getting on the power early, and then it just shoved the car wide, and he picked up a penalty, and that was a lap done and dusted. I mean, even after the sector 1, you know, he was already, I mean, he was 2 times purple, and, well, 2 times up on his best. But after that, yeah, that was it. But qualifying's done now, so we don't have to wait too long. But there is the grid. Lewis on pole, but stiff competition.
Most certainly indeed, as I've just accidentally pulled out something. I don't know if that's the right thing. But let's get ready then for what is going to be 1 hour of non-stop racing here in the Nurburgring. Get your hats on, ladies and gentlemen, because we are ready to go then here in the Nurburgring, and it's lights out, and away we go. And Lewis gets a good start, but look out for third position there, and first and second of Barker and Ayrton storming through then up the inside down towards turn number 1. Lewis swamped there by both of them. The Audi there trying to come up the inside as well, can't quite do it. A few cars in the background getting all hockey and jockey there as the two Corvettes run side by side, and Barker now takes the lead of the race. Lewis up the inside of Ayrton then. Lewis potentially trying to make a move there into the inside. Now Barker might have the inside line, can't quite do it. Now what's up for Honey Badger trying to go on the outside, gets a little bit forced off the road then through the exit of that corner, but it looks like everyone else has got themselves all scot-free there. In the background you can see that looks like Jendrick there trying to come up the inside of Noisy, can't quite do it up the inside of that.
Very good. Well, a good start for Lewis. He made up after the... Well, I mean, there's nothing he can do about it. The Porsche's just so dogmatic off the line. There's just nothing he can do about it, but he's made up for it. But Ayrton's not having any of it. He's coming up the inside. Can Lewis hold it around the outside here? Not quite, and now it's Corvette 1-2 again. Obviously, Barker's taken the lead off his teammate, but, you know, they're probably going to work together here. He's probably going to jump out of the way of his teammates soon. In fact, here we go. I think that's what's happening here. Or are they jostling? No, it's exactly what's just happened. A bit of team orders there coming into play. But they're making a bit of a mess of it because it's allowing Lewis to come right back through. I had no idea, a bit of a miscommunication there. Obviously, they're probably a little bit under stress because there's a couple of cars around. They probably don't want to give up too much time, but they made a bit of a habit of that. And it's allowed Lewis to get a run. Can he make the move around the outside? Surely not. If he manages that, that's a pass to the half, and he's managed it. Just a little bit of contact, but his first lap. I mean, that was a heck of a move, that. But it's lap 1, 48 minutes to go. Anything's to play for.
Indeed, we'll have a quick little look at it then through the replays as my keyboard's starting to work. Let's see then. So, slips to the left, flies around the outside. Very late braking there for the Porsche. Was there contact? Ever so slightly. Just on the exit. That was fine. That was absolutely beautiful then. On point for Lewis Edwards then in the Porsche. A little bit wide though as everyone starts to scriggle away. I tell you what, Ayrton and Honey Badger going at it right now. That's the battle for 4th and 5th. You can see the Corvette then back up into 3rd position as first and second, both with a half-second penalty respectively. So, track limits already starting to come into effect. We've only been, what, 3 minutes into this motor race.
Track limits are biting. It's getting... Oh, I don't know why this person keeps joining. I mean, there's not a lot to do now, mate. You're best just spectating. Yeah, the track limits are going to start playing havoc, but obviously they don't have to give it up, it seems. I think Ayrton's a bit frustrated potentially because, I mean, he was so close to Lewis, and now all of a sudden he's sitting in 3rd with his teammate in front of him, and 2 cars right behind him. You got Honey Badger, Noisy in the Supra, just sitting there and waiting, and Jendrick in that lovely Mercedes livery, the Manfilter livery. That's pretty nice livery there as well, with some obviously some gay pride and, you know, like inclusiveness flags and stuff like that, which we all love to see. You know, that is a great tribute and a great set of decals to run to, you know, obviously show the support for people's ways on how they want to go about their lives. So that's a great way to think. But less about that, more about racing. So he's getting passed by Luke Riley there, the championship leader, up into 6th.
Yeah, indeed. Meanwhile, top guys all starting to battle together. I'm just watching this. As you can see, looks like Barker getting rid of his penalty there, letting his teammate through up the inside. Indeed he is. A little bit late on the brakes though, as I pressed the replay button accidentally. And back to the live action we are. And Ayrton ahead of his teammate now of 3rd position, Barker. But now, remember, he's got less of a penalty to deal with, whilst of course his colleague has still got a penalty, and that could be quite interesting, Ethan.
Yeah, I mean, well, Lewis has actually, he's still got his penalty. I don't think he's going to be really bothered about that. Barker's now probably just going to play the team game and just hold people up. Just looking through the field, I mean, what we got going on? We got Jendrik, he's got a 1.5 second penalty further down the field. Oh, Rachel's just gone around the outside of Kermit through Valvoline, and that was a pretty nice move, I gotta say there. Really nice move on the softs as well. So these drivers going with a bit of a longer stint to begin with, perhaps. And just looking through the field, there's a lot of battles going on everywhere. So it's really tight knit. You got the top 4 who are running off, and you got Noisy, Baba, Tamo, and Jendrik by themselves, and then you got Team Actimal, who's kind of by the lonesome at the moment. And then Rachel, Kermit, and then Nojard all the way at the back, unfortunately. So, even though we've got some field spread now, they're all in little clumps together, so that's good to see.
Indeed, I was also trying to sort my keyboard out because it disconnected. Hopefully, that is all better now, and I can get back to the button pressing, which is always good to see. Ayrton currently back in second, like we said. As you can see, Barker, you say top 4 are all relatively close together, Ethan. Honey Badger holding on to Lees there. Actually going up the inside of Barker. A little bit of touching on the exit there. More touching on the straight. As Lees 2 getting a little bit frosty there and a bit flashing the lights. I don't think the Audi at all impressed there. He's now going to try sliver on round the outside into turn number 1. Can he do it the long way round? Yes, he does. But Barker then opens the door up, lifts off early, then forces him out right. And Barker putting up a Stontian defence there of that one. And well, let's have a little look then quickly. If we can down the straight, if it lets us, it will not show us the moment, but they definitely touched them coming down the straight.
Yeah, I think Honey Badger was probably trying to get back into the slipstream. He probably just turned in a little bit too early. Didn't expect the Corvette to still be there, but he's right on the back of the Corvette, looking for any way past. I mean, the Audi, it's a pretty decent car in most areas. It's a bit leery on the brakes sometimes, but it's got that power out of the corners. It's got that balance because obviously it's got the engine in the back. It's going to rotate a lot better than the Corvette. You know, the Corvette's very front heavy. The Audi is going to rotate just so much better. And maybe he's just struggling to find a way past the Corvette because the Corvette and Barker, just a pretty good combination by the looks of it. Just holding firm there. Aggressive, but not over the line. Hopefully it won't become over the line. As meanwhile, further up, Lewis is managing a 1.2 second gap. I mean, it is Honey Badger's looking for any way past the Corvette, and I don't think he's going to do it down the straight. I mean, he might, but the slipstream, is it strong enough? It might be. He's getting close. Is he going to launch it up the inside here? No, I don't think he is. No, he'd be wise of it to not. As Noisy is closing up on those guys, and he's got Luke Riley on with him as well.
Up the inside, Honey Badger, he's got him there. A little bit of a lift off there, and a bit just getting rid of the ghosting on the penalty there. And that's just allowed Honey Badger just to kind of just goes through him there up the inside. That was sneaky, very sneaky.
Oh, we've had a lead change. We've had a lead change. Lewis has dropped the lead. Now, literally just said he was managing the gap, and then obviously he's gone and done something. I feel like he's made a bit of a mess up of the chicane.
Yeah, it looks like it, because he dropped it through the last couple of corners. As I was looking at Barker and Honey Badger battling out, the top 2 also battling out, and it's a repeat of Lago Maggiore, Ethan, where he had the kind of top 4 in kind of 2 little battles there, and then of course everyone else closer behind. Right now, Lewis has to try and get a move on back again then, to see if he can pass the Corvette of Eaton then, and let's see if he can do absolutely anything. We know how good the Corvette is in a straight line. It is all about, however, how much potential, how much pace can he get out of the car. Tyre wear going to be coming down, the fuel also going to be coming down, as we can see from it there. Both relatively looking pretty even though, Ethan.
Fuel's not on.
Good
Fuel's
point.
not coming down at all. It's just watching both Corvettes. Barker putting his nose in place. He's going for the moves and then he's slightly backing out, so he's like kind of, I mean, it's something I do, you know, it's a good way of making your opponent, you know, lose their attention. Some people, you know, frown upon it, but, you know, I think it's pretty clean, you know, trying to fake a move, make your opponent misjudge their braking point and go off, you know. As long as you're not making contact with him, I don't see what the problem is, but he's doing that. You just got to watch this. Oh, as you can see there, Honey Badger got an awful exit out of that chicane, but looking up front as well, Lewis is just hanging on to the back of hanging on the back of the Corvette. So you got the Audi trying to run away from the Corvette, which is going to struggle to do down the straight. So you'll be seeing a move come up. Oh, wait, that was a late move there. That was a late one there.
Indeed, we'll have a little look at it again there. It was in the broadcast cameras up the inside. He does go then, Barker. And let's see if the Audi can try hold him around the outside. Can't quite do it there, but let's go and get him on board then and see what just happened there. So, running aboard, in fact, we're running aboard with 4th position. So he gets the slipstream, goes to the inside, and then, squeezes him right up against the wall. Very late movement, no contact, but that could have ended very, very dramatically indeed. But there he is, Ayrton and Lewis still together up front. And what we can say right now, Ethan, is this is going to be 39 minutes and 20 seconds of non-stop action.
Yeah, by the looks of it, I mean, we've got 2 drivers who seem to be evenly matched and 2 cars that have been made as close as possible by the BOP, as Lewis has made another mistake there. The dirt, affecting this car. Obviously his front tyres are going to start wearing out a bit now. Let's have a look at the tyres. The Corvette's eating its fronts a little bit more, but this is 2 drivers, testing each other, seeing who's fast where, who's a little weak where. They are just streaming away at the moment from the rest of the guys, albeit Barker and Honey Badger have been battling pretty hard and slightly going over that line that I mentioned earlier, and it's allowing Noisy to keep with him, albeit he's struggling with that chicane by the looks of it. You're going a little bit too deep and then sacrificing the exit, unfortunately. Meanwhile, championship leader Luke sitting happily in 6th, pretty decent at the moment. He's got a big gap to 2nd place to Noisy, who is actually 2nd position.
Could see a move here, Ethan. Leaders going at it. Lewis can't do the outside, can't do the inside there. Nice defending from Ayrton and holding the middle just at the opportunity, but Lewis thinks about a move up the inside, and this is almost going to be contact. It is contact there, and Lewis just about has a nose. Can't quite do it, Lou. I don't think Ayrton saw that coming there. He closed the door. Lewis had an opportune moment then. A better contact and no love lost between these two, but this is going to carry on then all the way down. Switching one way to the other. Now let's see around the outside. He's on the grass. He's on the grass and he's almost off. He is almost off the road. How did he hold that one there? Ayrton forcing him right to the outside and a little bit more.
I don't know how Lewis held on to that in a mid-engined car. I mean, just in any other car. I mean, just in any, GT car, that car would have been looping round. I mean, Lewis is on a pad and he somehow held that. I have no idea. I mean, he was being very, very ambitious on the outside, but he was alongside. He needed some room, and there wasn't much room given. But he just gave a little kiss on the grass. But extreme car control from Lewis there. I mean, he's, like we said, we've known him for ages. He's a very experienced driver, and that experience showed right there because he managed to control that car. I mean, even I can admit I would have struggled to hold on to that. That was extreme car control from Lewis. So he's going to know now probably not try that because he's going to get forced out wide. But he doesn't need to worry because the leader has made a mistake into the chicane and it's just an open goal for Lewis and he goes right on by.
Well, you say one thing, Ethan, and the exact opposite happens. And let's see now, Corvette versus that. And Lewis weaving a little bit down the straight, but looked like that. Or was that Ayrton just getting a bit of wiggle? And let's see, is he going to have to cover the inside line? We know how good the Corvette is then. Round the outside, can he do it the long way around? He's going to have to force him the long way and then cover it off. Force no opportunity. Exactly that's what he does then. And he can't find a way through the Corvette there. Tried it, one mistake, and back into the lead goes Mr. Lewis then into the lead then here at the Nurburgring here in Germany.
We got P11 trying to look for a move on Kermit. They had a nose on the inside, but they backed out of it, unfortunately. Just looking back through the field to see what's going on. This is a very good battle between the Mercedes and the Supra. Around the outside by V1 Rachel. I'm really sorry if you are a girl and your name is Rachel. We do apologise. We just didn't know if it was the case. But yeah, a lovely move around the outside at turn 2 there. The Supra is very leery, as you can see there on the exit. A very difficult car to handle, but I mean, it won the Manufacturers Series last year, so it's a pretty decent car. It's a fan favourite. It's certainly one of the most popular cars. Maybe a little bit too popular, maybe a little bit too good in my opinion, but Toyota's a partner of Gran Turismo and anything to make your car look good. But yeah, up into 10th. I've got to remember on those softs, so how long are those tyres going to last? But it doesn't look like they're going to last long if they're doing Tokyo Drift out of the hairpins.
I'll tell you one thing, Ethan. Honey Badger's been very impressive this opening stage of this race. Racing soft tyres, mind. As well as looking back, noisy on the racing soft as well. These two could be dark horses later into this race, especially if they chuck on a set of racing super softs as the time goes down around about, well, let's say about 10 minutes time potentially?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, obviously, because the reason, like, Boss is, he's not breaking the slip.
Oh, leaders! Oh, look at that dude mate on the inside!
Very late! Oh, he's in the gravel!
Is he going to spin it? He carries on just about, almost collide with his teammate.
He's going to have dirty tyres now. He's going to have dirty tyres. You can see, just look how much he's struggling for the grip now. Oh, that was very ambitious. You see the front right just light up. There was a red marker around the white gauge and it just lit red as he was struggling to get that car slowed down.
Well, here's what happened then. So, Lewis, I'm guessing he's going to go defensive and he goes on the grass. Ayrton on the grass. He tried it. He didn't. He should have backed out of that one. He just went straight on the grass. We'll get another replay of it then.
It was a very, very aggressive defence from Lewis. Maybe he's just given a little bit back of what he's been given. But, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, Lewis left the gap there. It's not like he literally... I mean, he made a few small little jabs, didn't he, towards the right. But he realised when Ayrton was coming up the inside, he left the car's width. But it was Ayrton's choice to go across the grass. But he's not out yet. He's not out at all, and meanwhile Honey Badger has gone up the inside and is now up into second place on the softs. So this mention of being a dark horse, I don't think he's a dark horse anymore. I think he's a real contender to win this now. On the softs, the driver in third has still got a penalty which will be rounded up, as we found out from Lago Maggiore. And his boss has gone completely across the chicane there. Just waiting for the round of pit stops, though. That's just what we're waiting for.
I'll tell you what, I don't think Bars is going to be very happy there. Bump and run then from Honey Badger, that was.
Oh, really?
It was a little bit of a bump. Let's have a look at the replay, and let's see. Is he going to come back up the inside? Honey Badger, very late defensive move there. Fair lap time, though. Let's see. Is he going to hold on around the outside? No, can't do it. Absolutely no way through there. His teammate a little bit further behind. Bars up, going to be frustrated. Let's have a look at that moment then, just a few moments ago in the replay yet again. And then see then, so you come up the hill, we look back then on board the Corvette. There's the bump. And you can see, look, didn't go fully on the brakes, low, so didn't help, but I mean, that was a little bit cheeky from Honey Badger.
Yeah, it is quite cheeky. His boss has actually just given up his penalty. I wonder if he heard me. That's very opportune, that. It's allowed... Oh, Luke Riley's actually overtaken Noisy for 5th place, so the championship leader is in front of his championship protagonist, or antagonist, shall I say. Jendrick is all by lonesome, unfortunately, but he's got Tamo not too far behind, and then Actimel definitely by lonesome there. Rachel in 10th, Kermit in 11th, and Rojad right up the back bumper of the rival Mercedes. So there is battles all around, but Lewis has got a breather now. That mistake from Ayrton and Bars tripping over each other and tripping over Honey Badger has given Lewis some breathing room to finally, kind of relax and do some decent lap times. But those front tyres are looking shot. And I think we'll be seeing them in the next couple of minutes. I'd say maybe in the next 5 minutes.
Indeed, well, let's find out, of course. Top guys, tyres are going off. Honey Badger now in second. His tyres are fine. He's on the racing softs. Racing super softs for Ayrton. Barker as well. Luke on the racing super softs. Tyres actually looking in relatively good nick, to be fair, for the other Porsche driver. Keeping with these guys as well. Far behind Gendrick, there we got Noisy. He is the first to come in the stop, so he must have been hearing us. But on the racing softs, he's come in early. Now that is a surprise. Now I'm wondering if he's going for a set, well surely he won't go on a set of mediums even, right?
I hope not. I mean, there's clearly no point because the tyre wear's not that strong, and maybe this. I don't think the supers will go that far. No, he's gone supers on super bold. He's gonna have to do some tyre saving for a bit, but we'll see. We'll see what the four behind him do. They've come into the pits now, obviously. As meanwhile, just gonna check up front as well. Ayrton's catching up to the back of Honey Badger. And he's bringing Barker along with him. Well, Barker, we'll still go with Bars. Bars is being dragged along, although 3.5 seconds, so he's cut something and cut it badly.
Acton a little bit late on the brakes there. He's gone on a set of racing mediums, so he's going to try and go to the end of this race. However, I feel the time loss, unfortunately, with the tyre wear as it is, it's just going to be too much, and he will drop himself presumably down, unless everyone has to stop substantially more, but the theory is they'd just be able to pass him again. So that could be a little bit of a small mistake. Behind him there you got Rachel on the set of Racing Super Soft, and then of course Supers and then Racing Mediums for Kermit.
Well, Lewis's tyres are looking, the front left is looking horrid. Is he coming in? No, he's not coming in. Honey, he gave a little bit of a dart to the left, the right there, didn't he? But still no. Ayrton's front tyres are looking really, really bad for wear. Barca, not too bad, but he's... Oh, Barca and Ayrton have both got over 2 seconds worth of penalties. 4.9 seconds worth of penalties combined between the two of them.
Looked like that might have been over the chicane, was that not, Ethan? It looked like.
It must have been. Had to have been. We know the track limits are strong on Gran Turismo, and on some tracks it can be a little bit too strong, but you can gain a lot of time through that chicane, so it would seem justifiable if he's gained a lot of time from it.
Looking at Gendrick, also with a bigger penalty as well. Both the Mercedes there together of the yellow Mercedes and of course the black, well the kind of blacky blue Mercedes there is Gendrick, a little bit of squiggling on the straight there, potentially just warming his tyres up as they run themselves down in 6th and 7th. Behind them then 8th position the Toyota of Noisy. He has currently got 3 seconds of penalties, of course Actimel, Rachel, Rosegard and of course Kermit, who's down in 12th. He's got 4 attempts of a penalty.
There's been a transition up front, not in terms of position, but in terms of pace. Now, I'm looking at the front tyre wear on the front of the Audi R8. It is a lot better than the Porsche. But the rear tyres, where all the grip needs to be for getting you out of the corner, as well as obviously having plenty of grip at the front, that gap is slowly dropping, you know, over the course of each lap. But you can see he's coming in, he's going for the undercut. He knows the pace is better. That grip was helping him, but he just didn't have the rear grip. And Lewis is going to see this, and he might have noticed as Ayrton's also coming in. Lewis might have been noticing the gap coming down, and he might respond. Oh, he's going to have to respond this lap, because otherwise he's going to get undercut. So at the moment, Honey and Ayrton might pop out first and second here if Lewis doesn't pit soon enough, because his tyres are looking pretty bad now.
Yeah, I'll tell you what right now, Barker's struggling because he's just gone off the road, I think, Ethan. He's now dropped behind Luke. Let's have a look what happened. Here we are then, down the straightaway. It's actually, never mind, it was ahead of him before we even got to there. So, the Corvette struggling somewhere. As right now, it's a Porsche 1-2 right now. I'll tell you what, Luke's tyres are looking a lot more healthier than his colleagues.
Well, Luke's not had to do much pushing, has he? Lewis has been involved in battles. Looking through the field, Ayrton's come out behind Noisy, who is on supers, and only about 1 or 2 laps fresher. Older, sorry. Honey Badger's come back out on softs again, so he thinks perhaps, because based on the first stem, because the softs aren't wearing as badly as the supers, but he can maintain that pace and stuff, maintain the pace, etc. He can make the softs work, and there's still another 25 minutes to go. So this could be make or break here, because Lewis is struggling through the corners now, and Honey Badger's come out on a lovely open circuit, whereas Ayrton, I mean, he's also out on an open circuit with 4 seconds worth of penalties. Oh dear.
Indeed, I'll tell you what, these guys are going to probably be hoping they don't catch up to Jendrick and Datamu pretty quickly. Those two all struggling around, and Lewis surely's coming in the pit. I imagine he is already. He is.
Yeah. I imagine Luke will be following him as well as Bas. Yep, Luke's in. Bas is staying out. He's going to get overtaken by majority of the drivers behind him who have pitted. Right, now this is the main thing. Where is Lewis going to come out compared to Honey Badger? And I'm already watching. Honey Badger's got his rear tyres are wearing more than the fronts. Where is Lewis going to come out? Is he going to come out behind the Audi?
He'll be awfully close. He'll come out ahead of him, actually, but only just. It's going to be awfully close into the braking of turn number 1 and 2. I think he has just reacted with enough time there to do that, as apparently I get millions of notifications through on my PlayStation at suddenly once, which is always interesting to see. But noisy.
Noisy, yeah, right in between there as well, and Ayrton's still stuck behind him. Let's put it this way though, if Lewis left that 1 lap later, he would have been overtaken, and that gap would have been probably about 1.7 seconds. But Lewis he's got trouble now. There's a Mercedes on very worn tyres right in front of him, and this is allowing Honey to get right up in the slipstream now. What's Lewis going to do? How's he going to negotiate this traffic? Albeit he's racing them for position, but it is traffic, and you can see the grip difference there. Oh, the ghosting system is doing very weird things there, and Honey's going to be absolutely loathing right now. Lewis got very lucky there, but Honey's getting ferociously held up now. Move
over, he says, and he is going up the inside now, late braking. The Mercedes, which about a lap ago I said about they could be in a situation here, but he's fighting back to Tamu on worn tyres. Trying to fight back there. Brilliant attempts there. Can't quite do it on those worn tyres. And now the hunt continues then. Honey Badger now going to have to try and chase down Lewis. We know Lewis has got good defence there as they all go through Mr. Combe. There is...
So Lewis wanted to go up the inside, but Jendrick wanted to come in. So, yeah, that got a bit close there. Oh, Honey must be so distraught right now. He was right up the back of Lewis there, and then there was just nothing he could do about it. That was just the way it goes. If I was a back marker, I would be really annoyed, but that wasn't a back marker, so he's got really unlucky there.
Ayrton on the inside.
That looked brave. Was it forceful? I don't know. We caught at the back end of that.
Well, let's have a look then. I'm guessing that was one of those late moves. You saw this earlier on with Ayrton having late lunges up the inside, and let's see. There, look at that. Textbook. Absolutely textbook. Late on the brakes, up the inside, and he got it done.
Very good move. Yeah, great move there. I mean, Noisy tried to cut it off, but Ayrton was having I can't say his name to save my life. Ayrton was having none of it, was he? He was like, I'm coming through no matter what, mate. I mean, he needs to. You know, the main people he's racing against is
but he's gone wide! Just as you say!
Oh, and he's been shuffled wide there by Noisy. I mean, Noisy had the line there. Should have given his hand a little bit more room. It's just, now it's going all wrong here now. He's taking too much curb. It's just little mistakes like this that are biting away at him.
Remember as well, 3.9 seconds of penalties to add on top of the misery. Lewis hasn't got any penalties, by the way. He's managed to get rid of all of them. So,
yeah.
Well, he's 1/10 he had to get rid of. He's been bleeding it off over the race.
Yeah, I really feel that Honey Badger's going to have to do some tyre saving on the rear here, because if he doesn't, he's going to lose touch of Lewis. And we've already seen that towards the end of like the life expectancy of these supers, they drop off pretty hard, and the supers don't. So if he can just keep in touch with Lewis and keep his rears alive, Honey Badger could win this race. Ayrton could win this race if he manages to get rid of 5.5 seconds worth of penalties and get past this Toyota. Unfortunately, Kermit's gone.
Noisy's
But
going to have to
Ayrton
cover
also
the inside.
needs... He does a better job of it this time around, and Ayrton, he's got to not make a mistake once he passes one of these cars. I feel there's a move up the inside coming.
Can't do it.
Not quite.
He second-handed that one there. He realised very late it wasn't going to work. Is he going to lunge one up the inside here, though? Late braking. Was there fine? Was there contact? It didn't sound like it. But he's through. But...
yeah, it was a late one. Noisy ended up turning into the rear axle of the Corvette, but yeah, he was already miles up the inside, so not really a lot to worry about there. But yeah, 5.5, but 5.4 to be exact. But just what can he do? I mean, he's effectively he's over nearly 9 seconds, if not over 9 seconds, behind Lewis at this point.
Oh, he's done it again! He's done it again there, and this time they touch again on the exit. That's the second time he's done that, and now they're going to be side by side nearly. There's contact up towards the Schumacher rest. Luckily for them, Ayrton backed out of that ever so slightly, and he's getting flustered right now in that cockpit, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying that line now. He's probably, I mean, he might be, or he might just be generally just struggling to get the car slowed down for that corner. Like I said, there's that line where you can carry a lot of speed in, kind of sit on the middle at the banking, bleed all your speed in the middle of the corner, straighten the car off and the corner off, and just floor it out the corner, and hopefully not lose the rear end whilst doing so. You know, and get a really nice exit, but it just seems he's either trying to do that and he's going too wide and it's really opening up the inside for anybody else who's sitting there waiting, or he's just genuinely struggling with that corner. It's one or the other here, and it's just chewing the time. It's just losing so much time, and that Supra is not a slow car. You know, it's fast and on some tracks with the right settings and right conditions. Yeah, it's nearly the fastest car in a straight line. You know, it's nearly faster than the Nissan GTR. It's not quite as fast as the McLaren F1 or the DBR9, but it's faster than the Nissan, and the Nissan is not a slow car in a straight line. So, you know, Ayrton, he's having to bleed this penalty whilst also trying to race the car that is substantially quicker as well.
Indeed, of course, the BMW Z4, which is currently in third. I always say it looks like it. It's very similar.
It's based on the chassis of a Z4 and shares the same sort of engine that's in the BMW Z4. So
might as well be a Z4.
Yes.
Which is a lovely car, by the way. Still, but I do prefer its looks.
BMW Z4
don't see it a lot, though.
Very
but
lovely car. No,
technically, it's right there on your screen. So there we are. Put a BMW livery on it, maybe. That'd be entertaining.
Maybe M4 GT3 next game. Hopefully. Alright, here we go. Is Ayrton going to get this move done? He's got a very good run out of the Schumacher S. Which way is he going to go? Is he going to go right or left? He's bleeding his penalty.
17 minutes.
I would just be trying to get past Noisy as quickly as I can and try and pull a gap, because he's clearly got the pace to do this and, you know, build the gap, bleed the penalty off. But he's obviously more just trying to bleed the penalty off slowly and then make a pass. But Noisy's not making it easy either. Yeah, Noisy's driving very well as well. So you got to give credit to the man. He's doing his job. And, you know, albeit this is the person in second position, and he's going to get a lot of points on Luke, who is in fifth, and Noisy's in third at the moment. Albeit Noisy also does have 2.9 seconds worth of penalties. Indeed. And Lewis has 1 second.
Yeah. So Lewis is picking up penalties very slowly, and meanwhile we're a little bored of Ayrton then, and see is he going to have a lunge, or he's going to keep getting rid of his penalties. So let's have a look through the order then as is. So Lewis leads this race with a 1 second penalty there from second position of the Honey Badger. Third position of Noisy, of course. Ayrton in fourth ahead of Barker, who's now in fifth.
Oh dear, I've just witnessed someone do a bit of an Austin Powers there. Sorry to cut over you. Someone met the pit barrier head on.
And I'm guessing
it would have been Rachel.
Let's have a little look, Glenn.
We've all done it at some point. We've all done it at some point. Even people in real life have done it, so there's nothing to be ashamed about.
And there
it's just
it is.
Incredibly embarrassing sometimes.
Straight into the wall, and in the wise words of Murray Walker, David Coulthard is in the wall, and that is my favourite line. And meanwhile, I will say, his leaders 7 seconds up the road. And
Yeah.
Ayrton...
He must have got Pat. Okay, we've obviously been checking rush out. What?
Both game
Did he get
penalties?
He was going incredibly slow. Was he already ahead? What was the gap? Both getting rid of penalties by the looks of it.
Very peculiar, eh? I mean, that's odd.
Incredibly odd. I'm just keeping an eye on Honey Badger occasionally as well. And that gap is coming down. Question is, can he make those rear tyres last? Because the fronts are lasting a lot better than Lewis's, and Lewis's got that 1 second penalty. All Honey Badger needs to do is, unless Lewis bleeds his entire penalty, which he's going to lose first place if he does so. Yeah, Honey Badger just has to finish noisy in. Very strange. Maybe he's realised those supers are not going to last. So Ayrton doesn't have to worry about. Yeah, see, he's bled his entire penalty now. So he doesn't have to worry about noisy now. But I think third is the best he's going to get unless Honey and Lewis decide to annihilate each other.
Which, you never know, in motor racing it could happen, I highly doubt it, but top guys running together, further down the field, all running their own separate little races. I must say right now, Jendrick and Dotamo have been very close together this entire afternoon. They've not really left each other since lap 1.
No, they haven't. Yeah, I mean, the Mercedes is a pretty decent car. You don't see it very often now, unfortunately. It's not quite as good as the RX Vision or the WRX or the Supra, but it is still a good all-rounder, and it's quite clear these two are pretty evenly matched, which is making it interesting, but it could also be quite frustrating when you have someone in the same car as you, lapping pretty much nearly identical as you, unless they make a mistake like that. Noisy is going to have to negotiate this battle as well.
Yeah, only 7 tenths behind, of course. Remember, these guys aren't on very worn tyres. So it's going to be all about how quickly can you pass them. And then remember, Ayrton, unless he's trying to stay out for this entire race, is also going to have to come in at some point. Potentially.
I don't think he will. I think he's just going to see out these last few laps. I don't think Boss is going to challenge him at all. Maybe he might.
Oh, look, this one on the inside from Noisy. Thought about it, had to back out slightly, almost slid into the side of the Mercedes. And let's see then, one way or the other, let's see inside a wrap. Well, he's going to be forced to go around the outside. That's going to be brave. Well, he lets him through. So, but he skips over the chicane. And did I say, Ethan, about Ayrton's going to come in? Guess what?
He has actually come in. Right. Okay, so he's complete. I really thought he just would have stuck it out there. What tyres does he go with on? Something tells me it'll be the supers again. Oh, what on earth was going on there? I think that was a bit of netcode there.
Yeah, looked like
that Supra was like 180 degrees across the circuit on my screen.
Well, the Mercedes as going back up the inside, or is the Supra goes back up the inside. Then the Merc went up the inside, went too deep, and well, up the inside it went. And look at Ayrton now; it's dropped himself all the way down to 8th.
It's not a good race, is it? Just to go back on the supers again, I'm not quite sure about the strategy here. Maybe it might have just been better off just going around gently, just making the tyres last for the last 12 minutes. I mean, he has the pace. He's clearly not a slow driver. He clearly knows what he's doing. I just don't quite get the strategy behind it personally, but maybe he knows something we don't.
Well, you think that, but then look, the gap he's got then to everyone else, and we presume that these guys aren't stopping in front of Dotamo and Jendrick. I mean, I can't imagine any reason if you look at their tyres. They're completely and utterly golden to go to the end. Yeah,
they're not bad. They're not bad at all. I mean, Noisy's is not that bad either. I mean, the fact is, Ayrton can get at best 4th now if Luke comes in, which is, I don't think, going to happen because he's done pretty well on his tyres. He's done better than Lewis. Meanwhile, yeah, just looking up front, Lewis's tyres looking a lot worse at the front, but Honey's rear's not looking great, and that gap is just staying around his second. Boss is all by himself. But yeah, like I said, I think the best Ayrton can get is maybe 4th if Luke pits, like I said, but it'll likely be 5th.
Well, it might be 8th for this point. Remember, looking at he's got to get past these guys, and the gap is opening almost. It looks like it's trying to open. As I thought someone left then. I don't think they did. No, they didn't. So it was just a little bit of telemetry glitching. Meanwhile, further down the field, I haven't talked about the big behemoth that is in this race, the BMW, which is here. That's the 2016
the
one,
M6.
isn't it?
Yeah, the M6.
Yeah, the big boy. Let's see, is he going to come up the inside? You can see him in the rearview mirror there, probably. And let's see, is he going to go for a dive up the inside of Rosegard then to turn number 1? Thinks a bit late move up the inside. Nicely done. Down the inside, and Mercedes couldn't do anything about that one then. And there we are. Team Actimel up into 9th position, then dispatching Rosegard, the Danish driver, in the relatively smaller AMG Mercedes, of course.
The M6 is
pretty. Let's say
wow. That was a bit of a lunge there from the from Rosegard, the Mercedes. Obviously, the M6 now has been replaced by the rather strange-looking BMW M4, if you want my personal opinion. Despite the massive grills, I think it actually looks rather spectacular. And I think a first for its kind, an inline engine in GT racing. I don't think there's been an inline engine before. I may be wrong, but it is, I think, an inline 4 engine.
Not since, I imagine, the old days.
Probably not since the old days, but yeah, a revolutionary car, and it's very popular amongst customer teams, being bought in bulk.
Sorry to cut over you. What has happened here? Because look at second.
Oh, yeah.
And Lewis hasn't got a penalty.
No.
Now, what
but he's also 5.5 seconds up the road now.
Now, what has happened?
Honey
made a mistake?
I believe he may have made a mistake, or he got a big penalty and killed it off immediately. It's hard to say without knowing, really.
Indeed, well,
I feel like it may have been a mistake.
Looking, meanwhile, can we just say these tyres at the back are still going on a mile away. The BMW into the side of the Mercedes and get through again. Is the Mercedes low gonna say thank you very much for going up the inside again? And let's see the outside line for the Merc, as the Merc's got very much a straight line speed advantage. Let's see side by side the two German manufacturers going at it down towards turn number 1, the inside. Of course, the BMW, the Mercedes low will have the inside for the next corner. Be brave to long drop the inside, but has got a little bit of a nose in there, a bit of a nudgy through there, and he gets them back up the inside. I imagine these two are probably just having a bit of fun right now. It might be not for the for the bronze spoon, but these guys are going at it, and fair play to Rosegard holding it line there, and Actimel gets a little bit of a sliver on the power on the exit.
It's good to see. I mean, obviously there's drivers here with different skill sets, but even if you're not the fastest, you can still prove you've got some racecraft, and those two drivers really did prove it there. That was some really nice driving through that loop section there. It has allowed Rachel to latch onto the back of her now, so it's now a 3-car battle for 9th place. Although I think Rosegard on his worn tyres, so the fact that he got that move done with those worn tyres is actually quite impressive, actually. But whether he's going to hold on to that 9th place, I don't know, because he's got 6 minutes 50 seconds of racing to go on tyres like that. And I don't think it's going to be easy. I'm just watching Jendrik and Tamo. They're not letting each other go, and Ayrton's got a 1.5 second penalty, and he's not caught up to the back of Noisy either. And Luke is being caught by Noisy, who has 3.1 seconds, and the gap out front still over 5.5 seconds, but Lewis just went very wide there. Not off the circuit, but he did go wide there.
Yeah, meanwhile, I'm just keeping an eye on this background battle. There's not a lot of going on up front, so we'll keep a little eye on the background. And like I say, right now it's Rachel is through up into 10th position, has dispatched of Actimel, of course, on those medium tyres, and now is going to go in dispatch of the Mercedes then up the inside. Down towards turn number 1, let's see the Supra with its speed, but the Mercedes no slouch in a straight line. Let's see inside versus outside. The outside line, though, will have the inside for the next corner, so theoretically he should be able to be up the inside, but no, it looks like he's got that move done then. Has the Supra and
That's
up into 9th.
Second time they've done that around that corner now. That's pretty impressive stuff. So back up into 9th after a little adventure into... Oh, lead change! Lewis has gone off in a very odd position there. In a straight line at the Nurburgring. It's not the first time he's done this. He's done it a few times.
And looking at the replay, look at it. Randy goes. We'll get an onboard as well.
Just waiting for the stream to catch back up because obviously I can't see just yet. What did he do? Oh,
on the grass.
The exit. Oh, Lewis. Oh, and all that would have done is just absolutely wreak havoc on those tyres. I mean, it's a good job flat spots aren't a good on this game, because they would have. I mean, majority of the spin was on the grass, but he still came back onto the circuit. But right when we were saying that gap, well, I was saying that gap was holding, Lewis goes and bins it, and he's on very worn tyres.
Yeah, and now he's going to have Barker. It'll all be about now how much those tyres, but look at them, they are shredded.
Yeah, oh dear, Lewis. Well, that's basically gifted Honey the lead, but he made a mistake as well. Literally a couple of laps ago, he made a mistake and was 5.5 seconds down. So they're 1 apiece now. It's just whether anybody else is going to make a mistake.
Noisy, right with Barbara O'Reilly, and a little bit of a knock there. And I don't think Luke was happy about that one. Gives him a bit of a thank you very much nudge back through there, and I can safely say that was a bit of a bump and run.
I don't think he's going to have to worry though, let's be honest, Liam. 4.6 seconds worth of penalties for Noisy. He may have got, he gets the position on merit, but that penalty is going to take it back away, so he may get the satisfaction of taking it from Luke, but in the end, unless he gives that penalty away and hope Luke crashes, because he's going to lose that position either way. Just looking at the gap again, Lewis, I can't see a lot happening here.
Did you say that? He goes off again.
His tyres are just absolutely shredded. He's at risk of Bars catching up. Because, tyres, I probably said this a couple of weeks ago when we were at Lagan Majori. When the tyres go off on this game, they go off very quick. I mean, to be fair, Honey Badger's rears are going. And the Audi, I've driven the Audi with worn rear tyres, and it's not a pleasure. It's not a pleasure. It's awful. It's an awful experience. So we may yet still see some drama at the front.
Ooh, meanwhile, Luke trying to go around the outside there into turn number 1. Then late braking then from the Porsche drive up. Couldn't quite stop it though. Has to go a little bit wide there. But just trying to hold on to Noisy right now. Try to make himself a nuisance. He's got, what, 2 laps to go? Not to drop 4 seconds. Should be possible. And I'm going to use that with the asterisk. I tell you what, Lewis has closed up 1 second already on the leader. So, Honey Badger is slowly dropping back, but it's not by enough.
No, it's not by enough. Lewis made the one mistake he did need to make at a point in the race where he's not going to have enough time to claw it back unless his competitor makes a mistake. The one thing he's got going for him is he's pulling away from the Corvette behind him. But those tyres are just absolutely they're rubbish. They are absolute garbage. Nobody wants them. And I don't think Lewis is going to want them right now because they're not going to be doing him any good. There's 1 lap to go. This is the penultimate lap now. Unfortunately, a few people might not actually get to see the proper final lap because of the way times work on this game. If the lap finishes, anybody who goes over the line once the counter has gone down and expanded or expelled, that's it, you're done. You don't get to do another lap. So even if the leaders have gone past the line after the time was finished, you don't get to do that extra lap the leaders to do it. Your race finishes there. So who 10th and 11th might not get to see the last lap.
Indeed, I tell you what, right now the leader, it's kind of hovering around that 3 second mark. Noisy, gap now up to 2.6 seconds. These guys are on their last lap, or was it now 1.8 seconds? But Luke has a 1.9 seconds, so could be awfully close.
Well, 4.6 it's going to be, it might be close. That gap at the front now is hovering Oh, I wonder how many nerves are going through Honey right now. I wonder what his heart rate is right now. You're driving on a very difficult circuit that requires a lot of attention. A lot of the corners are cambered, which requires you to carry speed. And you just don't have the grip at the rear where you need it, because mid-engine cars are usually quite unstable. And you got someone who's very, very quick bearing down on you. Albeit they made a mistake. But he's still bearing down on you. So
you can see, look at him struggling.
This is where will struggle quite a bit, but he's got fantastic throttle management. You can see Lewis using as much track as he possibly can to catch up, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. But that rear end is going to be dancing soon. You can see him through here, it's slowly going to start sliding out.
You can see just about getting the front turned in, just about getting the rear turned in, then through he comes into the last couple of corners. This is where Lewis dropped it 5 minutes ago. You could see the rear skating around there on the
Lewis
Audi.
Just nearly done it. Lewis, sorry to cut. Lewis nearly just binned it again. Wow, I think that might be it now for Lewis.
Here we are then, into the last corners. Honey Badger took the lead when he needed it, was leading earlier on, lost it when he lost it to Lewis. Lewis then lost it. Honey Badger took it. With 4 and a bit minutes to go, he'll come through the last corner, and Honey Badger will win here at the Nurburgring. He wins then here. Lewis yeah, he will finish in second position there. Third for Barker, and you can see Noisy getting rid of the penalty on the line. Doesn't work because he dropped too much time. He almost could have dropped behind Ayrton there as well. So Luke in 4th. Noisy in 5th, 6th from Ayrton, Jensk in 7th, Tamo in 8th. Rachel will be the last to cross the line down in 9th. Rosegard finished in 10th, and we had 2 with DNS.
Actimel was in 11th, but then decided as soon as everybody finished, oh yeah, I'm going to leave. Whilst he doesn't want to sit around for like 90 seconds waiting. Oh, but that was a good race though. That was a very good race. Plenty of drama up and down the field. Some unfortunate mishaps, some aggressive driving, some heartbreaks, some fantastic battles. But yeah, Nurburgring always delivers, and I think the Nurburgring is Lewis's arch nemesis, because every time he's raced here, he's had a bit of a moment here. Usually in a straight line. It's quite unfortunate. But Honey Badger, you said he was a dark horse. I certainly agreed. And then I went on to say, he's not a dark horse. He's a full contender to win, and he went and won. So fair play to him.
Indeed. Well, I think we know who our driver of the day is. It's the Dark Horse.
Well, it's got to be Honey Badger. You know, he drove a fantastic race. He started on the softs. He was keeping pace with the guys, albeit, you know, he had a few little, you know, moments for some people, got a little bit rough and tough, but, you know, that's the way racing goes sometimes. Obviously, to be decided if he gets checked by the stewards or not. But when it mattered, you know, he was there to pick up the pieces when people tripped over each other or made their mistakes, and you know, in the end, it worked out. I mean, there was definitely other people who could have won that, but they just weren't there to take advantage, and Honey was. So that's why he's the winner today and my driver of the day.
Indeed, and wow. There's a lot to compress into that race. Great racing throughout from all the drivers. Lewis went grass cutting. Indeed he did. But, of course, as we head in towards next race, which, as we got the lovely calendar up, will be in just 7 days' time here at Barcelona. Catalonia, of course. So we'll see you then. But I'll let the final words go with Mr. Ethan.
Sorry?
you can. What's the final words from you?
Final words. I love Barcelona and GT cars. The chicane's a bit horrid, but Barcelona's a pretty decent circuit for racing. And hopefully it should be a decent race. Hopefully we'll get a lot of the drivers back, because I'm ready to see another 50 minutes of racing at a classic circuit, I suppose you can call it.
Classic-ish.
Yeah, I'll call it a classic-ish. Yeah, I'll call it a classic-ish. But yeah, thank you very much thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Again, congratulations to all our drivers, and hope you had a great race. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.